I'm Cath and this is Made by Cath Craft. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm back after a couple of weeks break from filming and it's really lovely to be back on. And I thought, since I haven't talked about what I've been up to over the last couple of weeks, I haven't been on here, I thought I'd make this video into a bit of a catch-up video. Because although I haven't been filming over the last couple of weeks, I have still been sewing. I've managed to squeeze in a bit of sewing here and there. So I've got a few different things to catch you up on. So that is the plan for today's video. So yes, thank you for having me back. And before I get started on talking about my sewing projects and what I've been up to, I'll just mention what I'm wearing today for my handmade wardrobe. So actually the weather here in the south of England, although it's November now, is still really unseasonally mild. So I've got on quite a lightweight sweatshirt today with a pair of jeans. I don't need a snuggly sweatshirt quite yet, but I love this sweatshirt. So any opportunity to get it out, I do really enjoy wearing it. I made this one, I think last year, and it's the Megan Nielsen Jarrah sweatshirt, one of my favourites. It's got a lovely dropped shoulder, I do like a dropped shoulder, and I made the tie version of this fabric. I'll stand up a bit so you can see the little tie detail there. And the thing I love most about this sweatshirt is the lovely fabric. This is one of Guthrie and Garney's fabrics, is their Chica Cheetah French Terry, which was available, I think it was last year, in 3 different colourways, and then it all sold out, and they've actually just brought it back. So I'll link it down below. And this colourway, I think it's described as like a dark blue, but it's got a bit of a purpley tone to it too. And there's a pale pink and then a sort of turquoisey aqua blue as well. So I thought that's lovely to see it back again because it is such nice fabric. The colours are just so vibrant, such a pretty print. It's a print I think they made in collaboration with Rachel Parker, who makes such beautiful prints for fabrics. And actually this fabric is also available now, sorry, this print is also available now in a viscose poplin as well. So when I saw that pop up on the Guthrie and Garney website recently, I was really tempted actually to get some of the viscose too because it is such pretty fabric. But I remember when the viscose came out the first time around, I just couldn't think of what to make, and I still haven't thought of what to make. And I generally try not to buy fabrics unless I have a bit of an idea of what I'm going to make. So I haven't bought any more Chica Cheetah this year since it's been available, but the French Terry is lovely. You can get matching ribbing, so I've gone for that on the cuffs and the neckband. And like I said, it's a bit of a lighter weight French Terry, so perfect for this quite mild weather we've got at the moment. So that is what I'm wearing. I'll link that fabric down below. But yeah, let me get started on what I've been up to over the last week or two. I've got a few different sewing items to talk about and also a new knitting project I've started to, but I'll put that at the end of the video. And I'll talk about the sewing first. And I think first of all, I'll share a new make that I finished a few days ago. It's been something I've been meaning to sew up for quite a while. And I wanted quite a simple project that I could just pick up and put down quite easily when the kids were on half term last week. Just if I had a spare 15 minutes here or there or in the evening, something I wouldn't have to, worry too much about getting all the, I don't know, just something simple. Although actually the cutting out turned out to be not that simple. I'll show you why. So this is what I've been making. And this is a top that I made using this gorgeous cotton lawn fabric that I got quite a while ago now from Fabric Godmother when it was on sale. I can't remember the name of the fabric and I'm not sure if it's still in stock, but if it is, I'll link it down below. It's a lovely lightweight cotton lawn, and you can get this print in this sort of micro size or a larger size too. But I think when they originally had it, they kind of described it as almost like a crochet inspired print because the squares on the fabric look like granny squares. And I also think they look like mosaic tiles as well. So it makes me feel quite summery, this fabric. And I just got 1 metre and I thought it would be nice to turn into some sort of woven top for summer. And when I bought it, I did have in mind the top I finally got around to making. And this is, I'm not sure if you can recognise this, it just looks quite square with all the squares on it and everything, but you can maybe see from the cuff, the oversized cuff. I decided to make a cuff top by the assembly line. I've got the pattern here. It's a pattern I love. I remember thinking it was quite a pricey PDF when I bought it, but I feel like I've got so much use out of it that it was worth the expense. So here's a cuff top by the assembly line. It's this top, this boat neck, quite a straight fit to the actual main body, and then these oversized elasticated cuffs. and it's got this seam line down the front and the back, which is a nice feature, but you don't have to add that if you don't want to. You can just cut on the fold. Well, because my fabric obviously has this quite busy square print, and I thought, yeah, pattern matching would be quite tricky on it, I wanted to cut out both my front and back pieces for my cuff top on the fold. But actually, when I got to looking at it, I didn't have enough fabric with 1 meter to be able to do that on the front and back, just because the pattern pieces are quite large, because the sleeves like added on to like a grown on sleeve. So what I ended up doing was I cut the front on the fold, because I thought that would be the bit people see, and I thought if it wasn't perfectly pattern matched, it would be better at the back than the front. So I cut the front on the fold, so there's no seam line there. And then I had the job of making sure I cut the back quite carefully, and then sewed up the back quite carefully, so you can't see too much the seam line down the middle. So I'll hold it up. You can hopefully, well, hopefully you can't see too much, but you can just see the seam line down here. You might be able to see a little top stitching down each side. So yeah, that took a bit of time, making sure I sort of matched it up really carefully to sew, but I'm really happy with how it ended up actually at the back. I don't think you can tell that the back's 2 pieces pieced together. I think it looks like one continuous piece of fabric. If you look closer, I have top stitched the seam down, but what I decided to do was I decided to, I'll show you inside. I decided to overlock each piece of the back fabric separately, and then sort of press the seam open and then top stitch down each side, just to make it really symmetrical, in case you do notice there's a seam down there. So I was a bit disappointed originally when I realised I couldn't fit in 2 pieces both cut on the fold, but actually I think the backs turned out okay. And yes, this is my cuff top. I really love it. As I said, when I bought this fabric, I did have in mind making the cuff top, so I don't know why it took so long to do it. And I made it a little bit cropped. That's how I thought I'd like to wear it, with a pair of higher waisted jeans. I make a couple of adjustments to the cuff top. I make the size, what is the size I make? The cuff top has a really good size range, by the way. There are 2 different size versions, that, and the smaller size range has just a simple boat neck and no darts. And then I think the larger size range has darts and little keyhole opening at the back too. So there are a couple of slight variations depending on which size bracket you fall into. But I make the extra small, which is pretty much bang on my measurements. And then I've always adjusted slightly to bring the front neckline down a bit, and also the boat neck in slightly, so that it doesn't sort of show my bra straps at all, because it's quite a wide neckline. And I have made a cuff top recently in a viscose, and I actually made it with a bias bound neckline, and not the facing like the pattern has. So but this one I've actually used a facing on, just because I thought with a cotton lawn, I thought a facing would work better somehow. I'm not usually a big fan of facings, but I thought with the shape of the neckline, I remember with the viscose version, kind of struggling to get the bias binding to sit totally nicely on the shoulders. But with the viscose version, I thought the facing would end up being a bit too, feel like not drapey enough inside, and I just didn't think it would work. But with this version, I thought with the fabric having a little bit more crispness to it, actually a nice crisp facing on the inside would hold the neckline shape nicely, and it would save me having that trouble of the kind of quite sharp turn here and getting the bias binding around there, which I had on my viscose version. So yeah, I went for a facing. It's stitched down on the shoulder seams, so hopefully it should stay in place, and hopefully it won't crinkle up like a viscose facing might do. I find with viscose sometimes it's just doesn't behave well as a facing, but I think cotton lawn behaves better as a fabric. Hopefully that makes sense. So anyway, yeah, this is my cuff top. I'm really glad to have made it. It's not quite kind of weather for wearing this with a pair of jeans right now. It's not that mild, but I thought I might try layering it over the top of maybe like a black top, so I could wear it at this time of the year too, because I don't think this fabric itself is one that should only be worn in the summer. I think it's a fabric that could work all year round. I haven't actually got some pictures of this one yet, but I'll try and get some pictures after I finish filming and pop a picture up here so you can see what it looks like on. I'm really pleased I finally sewed up this fabric. It's one of the older fabrics in my quite small fabric stash, so it felt quite satisfying to finally cut into it. And yeah, I'll link this fabric down below and the cuff top pattern as well. It's such a nice pattern. I think it's just great for showcasing a print because it's so simple, and I love the elasticated cuffs. That's the only other change I made actually. I think the pattern calls for 5 centimetre wide elastic, but the first time I made the cuff top I only had 4 centimetre wide, so I used that for the first time, and I've always used it since because I quite like where the arm sits on me, having been turned up by the 4 centimetres rather than the 5 centimetres. So yeah, that is my make. So it turned out to be a little bit more fiddly with the pattern matching than I had originally planned. But yeah, I'm really pleased to have finished it and I'm looking forward to wearing it. I do really love this print. So that is the first thing that I've got to share. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is to share 2 items of handmade clothing that I've got here that I'm planning to clear out of my handmade wardrobe. And recently I've been trying to do this big wardrobe declutter. I've amassed quite a few handmade clothes over the years since I've started sewing. And I really want to reduce my wardrobe now down to items that I love and that I know I'm going to wear. So I've been trying to identify items in my wardrobe that don't fit that brief, and these 2 didn't for one reason or the other. So I thought I'd show you the garments and talk about why I'm not really reaching for them. So yes, this is the first one here. And it's actually something I do love, but not something I wear. So here it is. You may well recognise this one from the statement collar. This is the Bakerloo blouse by Nina Lee London. I made this quite a while ago when the Bakerloo pattern was quite new. And I wasn't sure if a big collar was my thing, but I just thought I'd give it a go and have a bit of fun with it. And I made this blouse in this gorgeous Liberty Tana Lawn fabric, which I just love. And I had a bit of fun with the collar. I added the ruffle in this navy. I did make a few tweaks to the blouse. I went for slimmer sleeves rather than the balloon sleeves to try and make it feel more me and less overwhelming, because I was worried that with the collar and big sleeves it would be far too overwhelming. And I did actually really like this garment when I first finished it. I took a lot of time over it. I think the finish is quite neat on it. I did enjoy sewing it a lot and I love the colour. But I just find when I wear it, I just don't feel comfortable in it. Actually, just purely from a practical purpose, I find it's really hard to put things over the collar. And also, I remember going out once with my husband and we were sitting outside and having a cup of tea outdoors in a cafe, and when the wind blew, the collar was just coming up like this. And it was just getting in the way really. And it's just not something I ever wear. Just as I said, I just don't feel quite that comfortable in it with the collar really, just from a practicality perspective, as well as maybe it's not totally me anyway. It feels like a big feature and it feels like almost like the collar wears me a little bit, I guess. So yeah, it's one of those garments, I guess, I just really enjoyed sewing regardless. I think I'll probably try and keep the fabric. So maybe for this one, I won't hand it on to somebody else. I'll just keep it because I'd love to be able to use this fabric for something else. It'll make beautiful pocket linings or maybe something actually a bit more visible because it's so pretty. It seems a shame to be hidden away in a pocket. So yeah, it's probably one I'm going to just turn into something else other than a Bakerloo blouse. Maybe a refashion project potential rather than just clearing it out totally. But yeah, I don't think I'll wear it again as a Bakerloo blouse with a flappy collar. It's just, yeah, not totally me. I do have a Bakerloo dress, which I do enjoy wearing. It's corduroy, the collar's a bit more substantial, it doesn't flap out as much. And I feel like being a dress, it kind of balances out a bit more maybe. But yeah, with the blouse, it just wasn't working for me, but I do love this fabric. So hopefully I'll be able to repurpose it for something else sometime soon. So that is the first garment that's going to move into my fabric scraps pile instead, I guess. And actually I might do the same with this fabric, because this is another fabric I really love. This is a dress I made when I was really quite early to sewing. I'll hold it up a bit so you can see it. I don't know if you recognise it. It's a pattern that I haven't seen made for quite a while. It's one of Tilly the Button's earlier patterns, the Bettine dress. So it's a woven dress pattern with an elasticated waist and blousey bodice with a scoop neck. And then this skirt, which is kind of more of a sort of fitted skirt. How do they describe it? Just tulip skirt, tulip shaped skirt. And I've actually only made this pattern once to make this dress. And I made this dress when I was quite new to sewing, and I don't think I graded out as I should have on the hips. I think I went for too small size. So when I try this dress on, it is just far too tight over the hips. And it's also pretty short actually. I think I shortened the skirt. You can see the elasticated waist is here, and that's the skirt. And with it being tight and short, it just doesn't feel at all comfortable to wear. So definitely the fit is not great on this one. I think I also lengthened the body a bit and it sits a bit low on the waist, so the whole fit is just really off on it. It is gorgeous fabric though, isn't it? I think again, it's a lovely cotton lawn fabric. I really think it's very pretty, and there's quite a decent amount of it, for example, on the back skirt. I did think about a while ago whether I could alter this to make it fit me better, but I just thought there's too many things that aren't quite right about it. I think if I start altering it, it'll end up turning into something that might fit me better, but doesn't actually feel that great on anyway. So yes, you can see it's really old because, I don't think you can see actually, but the facing is finished with a zigzag stitch around the edge, so it was pre-overlocker. So again, this is one where I might actually just unpick and save as much of the fabric as possible and be able to use it for something else. I don't think I'd be able to fit another garment into it unless I tried to refashion it, which I don't really want to do. But again, it might be lovely for pocket bags, bias binding, something rather like that. So yes, it'd be nice to be able to preserve the fabric, but just not as the Bettine dress anymore. So it'd be nice to get those items out of my wardrobe because they are just taking up space and I'm never wearing them. So I thought I'd share those two, but both lovely fabrics, I think. And then the next thing that I wanted to share is the progress that I'm making on my current sewing project. At the moment, I'm sewing myself up a new bag using a new to me pattern, and it's this pattern here. It is the Bestie bag pattern by BF Patterns. It's one I've seen quite a lot of people sewing up recently. I've seen some really lovely versions, but it's for this banana shaped bag, and you can make the strap longer to be a crossbody bag, or you can wear it as a shoulder bag. And it's got a zip at the top, and it comes in two sizes, a large and a medium. I think there is also an option to purchase an add-on to make a small version, which looks very cute too. But I'm going for the medium size here. What I really want is a nice crossbody bag that I can just sling on over anything that'll be really practical. That's a bit smaller than my rucksack that I often use, but it's larger than a little sort of purse style bag. That is the plan, and I've been making some good progress on my bag, so you can see where I've been getting to. It definitely looks like a bag, although at the moment it is inside out. So here it is. So I am making mine in a plain black. I mentioned on a previous video, I want it to be quite utilitarian, quite sporty, quite simple. So I got a few swatches of fabric from Minerva, 3 different canvas fabrics. And I decided to go for the most heavyweight canvas fabric swatch that I'd got, which is a Mind the Maker fabric. It's really nice, closely, densely woven canvas, so I think it'll be perfect for a nice durable bag. I'll link it down below. So that is my fabric here, the canvas fabric. As you can see, I've got the zip in. I bought a quite chunky black zip from eBay. I really like that. And then for the lining, as you can see, I went for this hot pink cotton poplin fabric. I thought the pink would be a nice pop of colour inside the black bag, and I thought it would make it easier to be able to see everything in there as well, being like a lighter colour. So yeah, I'm making good progress on my bag so far, and I've really enjoyed sewing it up to date, other than a couple of blips, which I'll mention in a moment. The lining has got the pockets added in, so this side's like a double pocket that you kind of have like a sort of seam line down the middle, and on this side there's a single pocket there. So that'll be quite handy to be able to put little small items in there so they don't get lost in the depths of the bag. And yeah, I'm getting towards the end now. As you can see, it definitely looks like a bag. But like I said, I have had a couple of blips along the way, which has made it a little bit more frustrating. Nothing to do with the pattern, but more the bulky nature of the fabric. So as you can see, I decided to interface my bag. I thought the canvas is quite heavyweight, but it's quite sort of thin, and I thought having a nice bulky interfacing would give it a really nice shape to the bag and a structure. And I had a little research online about bag interfacings, because it's not something I've looked into a huge deal. And I came across quite a few people recommending this foam style interfacing, which I think is especially, or at least recommended for bags and maybe other projects too. It is a sew-on interfacing, so it's not one you can iron on. I had to baste it together with the canvas fabric before I started sewing the pattern pieces together, which worked fine. It is quite sort of squidgy and bulky, so I'm hoping it'll make a really nice bag. But it has made the sewing a little bit tricky. I've got a Pfaff Ambition 1.0, which gets through most things, although it doesn't always like swim fabrics. But I did find that sewing through one layer of canvas and the interface and to kind of baste the pieces together, it managed absolutely fine. But when I came to actually sewing 2 layers of canvas and 2 layers of interfacing to actually sew the pattern pieces to each other, my machine started to struggle, and it started to skip quite a lot of stitches when I was sewing these seams, which obviously I didn't want because it would end up with holes in the bag. So I had a little look online, and I figured out probably the best thing to do was to try a new needle. I've got a set of needles I got with my Pfaff quite a few years ago, just like a general sort of basic range of needles in there, just some like size 70 and 80, and there's a jeans needle and an embroidery needle, which I've never used. And I was using my jeans needle to sew the bulky fabric. And that jeans needle, I haven't used loads over time, but I have used it a bit. I think it was maybe a size 90 jeans needle. And it just was really struggling to get through all of this fabric. So what I thought I'd do is I had a little read online, a little research, and I thought I'd buy myself a couple of different needles to try to see if I could find something that will work better. So I got these needles first of all. I do like Schmetz needles, and I find my machine likes them. I remember trying some Prim needles on my machine a while ago and didn't like them at all, but definitely Schmetz seems to be great. I have a set of Microtex ones I use all the time. So I got these jeans needles from Schmetz, and they are size 110, so a bit bigger than the 90 I was using, but I thought that might work well with the kind of sturdy fabric. But actually I tried these ones first on my machine, and it did not work at all well with this fabric. My machine made loads of noise. It was really struggling to go through. They definitely were not right. I'm sure I'll use them on something else instead, but they weren't the right needles for this project. And I thought I'd also get this set here. There's some more Schmetz needles, but this is a whole range of different needles in here, from a 70 up to an 100. And I thought it might be good to get myself a few more of those anyway, because I have the 70 and 80s that I've used loads from my original Faff Ambition needle set I got. They probably could do with updating it at some point. So yeah, I thought I'd get this big set here, and I thought I'd get lots of use out of those. And I tried the largest size, which is the size 100, and actually that seemed to work well. And I was able to re-sew these seams, and I don't think any stitches have been skipped there. So that seemed to, yeah, be a good option. So I was quite relieved about that actually, because I thought at that point, I don't know what I can do. I can't hand sew it, it's just too thick. It would just, yeah, my hands would be in tatters if I tried to do that. I wasn't really sure where to go. And actually my overlocker struggled with this fabric too. When I tried the foam on it, my overlocker didn't like it either. So it has been a bit tricky in terms of the fabric. But I think I'm getting there now. So there's not too much more to do really. And I'm quite excited about getting to the point where I can turn it the other way around and see what it looks like as a bag. And one thing I think the next step is when I turn it the other way around is actually, the pattern says you should fold these seams in, or sort of press them in, and then actually top stitch along the bottom here with the catching the seam on the outside to kind of hold those seams in place. And I think I'm going to skip that step with this fabric. I just don't think my machine will be able to handle it, and I'm not sure there'll be enough for benefit really. I think if I was going for a lighter weight fabric, it'd be nice to have those seams held in place. But this fabric's so bulky, it's going to hold its shape well anyway, so I think I'm going to not do that step, because I think it would just be asking for trouble, to be honest. I think it's more than my machine, the needles, ability with these fabrics. So yeah. Anyway, I've really been enjoying it. I've just got some plain black canvas for the strap and a little slider so I can adjust the length. And yeah, hopefully in a video very soon I'll be able to show the completed bag. But yeah, it has been a lot of fun. I thought the instructions over how to sew the zip were great. I'm often a bit nervous about zips, and the zip went in really smoothly. I think it did help having a couple of other bags under my belt already before I tackled this one with this fabric, because it gave me a bit more confidence. But yeah, yes, I'll link the pattern down below. I'll link all the fabrics down below too, and the interfacing. And yeah, I'll update you more on how I'm getting on soon, but hopefully it'll be a really useful bag once it's finished. And I really hope that the needles have finished getting through the last few seams I need them to do. So yeah, fingers crossed on that one. And the next thing, the final thing I got to share in this video is my latest knitting project, which I've got over here. So yeah, I finished a crochet project which was quite involved, a little daisy crochet vest, and I wanted something a little bit more straightforward and easygoing after that one. And I thought I'd go back to knitting, because I do like to sort of move between knitting and crochet. So I decided to make something I've had ready as a kind of something I knew I wanted to make at some point. I had everything I needed. I thought I'd get it out and just get going on it. So I am making this pattern here, which is a Cocoa Sailor sweater by Wool and the Gang. And it's my second time making this sweater, so I thought, oh yeah, nice and straightforward. It's a really nice, quite slouchy, relaxed, drop shoulder, stripy sweatshirt that you knit in shiny happy cotton yarn on 8mm needles. So it's got quite a loose weave to it, this one, because the needles are quite large and the wool isn't super sort of chunky. Yeah, so I originally got it as a kit, and I made a version like a deep red and with a white stripe on. That was quite a long time ago. And then I had some leftover yarn from another project, some shiny happy cotton in a hot pink, I think it was. And I thought it'd be fun to get another colour to match with that and make a pink and something stripy sweatshirt. So I decided to go for pink and sort of bright red. And this is my sweatshirt and how it's coming along at the moment. I'll hold it up so you can see. You can see it has got quite a loose weave to it, this one. And it needs blocking at the moment, the stitch is a bit wiggly. But yeah, I've got the front and back sorted so far. Because it's quite a large needles, it knits up quite quickly. And it is just stocking stitch, so quite straightforward. I've got lots of little clips on it because I just tried it on to check the length. So it should have been really straightforward, this one. Oh, and I'll link the pattern and the two colours I've used down below. It's a different red to the red I used for my first version. It was quite a dark red. And this is a bit more of a brighter red with a little bit of oranginess in it. I thought it'd be quite fun together with the pink. Yeah. So I thought it'd be quite a straightforward make, this one. So I started knitting, just quite relaxed in the evening, watching the TV. And then I finished up one front. And I held it up next to my original version, which I love, and I really like the sizing on. I made the same size, same needles, I think. I'd gone exactly the same, and it just looked much smaller. It just came up smaller, and I don't know what I did differently. I can't imagine I was knitting so much more tightly, but I wasn't using different yarn. I just don't know what happened. I don't know whether maybe I made a different size and I just never noted down what size I'd made, but I think I made the same size. I just couldn't figure it out. I still don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to know what happened. But it was definitely coming up smaller and it didn't look the same, and I wanted it to be quite similar to the first one because I really love the fit of that one. So what I've ended up doing is sizing up one size on the needles. So this version I used 9mm needles on rather than 8mm like the pattern recommended. And that seems to work better. It hasn't ended up the same size as the previous one still. In particular, it sort of seems a similar width, but it came up longer. So I actually have one less line of stripes on this one than I do on the other one, is that right? And yeah, anyway. I don't know what's happened, but I'm making good progress on it now. And I tried the front and back on like this a couple of days ago. And I thought, I like the length, I like the sizing. I'm good to go on the sleeves now. So I'm going to carry on. So yeah, I don't know what happened to that one, but I do really love how it's shaping up. And it is nice to do quite a simple project. Just, you know, knit, 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 and then purl, purl, purl back on the way. So yeah, that is my current knitting project at the moment. I don't know what's gone on with the needles, the sizing, or what. But yes, I'm making good progress on it, and hopefully it'll be nice sweatshirt. It's a bit more of a summery sweatshirt because it's got quite a loose weave to it, but I don't always knit seasonally. I'm just enjoying knitting what I'm enjoying knitting, and I'll wear it next year, hopefully. So yes, that is what I'm knitting at the moment. So that is the final thing that I've got to share in this video. So it's been really lovely catching up. I hope you've enjoyed hearing what I've been up to. I have this week made a couple of new fabric orders and a new pattern I'm really excited to try too. So I'm looking forward to be able to share those in a video soon. I always find when you order something new, you just want it to come straight away. So I'm now waiting, probably slightly impatiently, for it to arrive. So yeah, I'll be able to share that hopefully in a video very soon. So yes, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've had a good couple of weeks and have managed to squeeze in a little bit of sewing or some sort of crafting too. And I'll look forward to seeing you for another video very soon. So yes, thank you again and see you soon. Bye.